Hello there, grumpy old fart here. I'm enjoying doing the videos on Dungeons and Dragons because there's a lot of new dungeon masters out there. With the pandemic, everybody's stuck at home essentially, and a lot of people are still stuck at home. You know, things are trying to open up, but now they're trying to reenact these mask mandates and what all. So yeah, people are still stuck at home, and what better way to spend time with your family than playing a tabletop role-playing game? You get to communicate and you get to have fun all at the same time. It's awesome. But here's the downside. Well, it's not really a downside, it's a good thing. But the way it works is one person has to be the dungeon master, and a lot of people are just starting out as dungeon masters because of this situation, and they're not real sure what to do. So there's a lot of players out there that are first-time players too, and that's a good thing. Okay, because we need all the players we can get. As far as players go, everybody wants to run a character that they enjoy. And there's a lot of things, a lot of different character classes that are quality classes to play. People like running wizards because of the magic, and they like running clerics because of the healing abilities, and that's good. And honestly, who doesn't like running a good thief once in a while? So, you know, they're there. It's all there. And they have good subclasses, too. Wizards have magic, but they really suck in combat. Everything is a trade-off. Every character class has advantages and disadvantages. Wizards have magic, but they suck in physical combat. Once a wizard is out of spells, they're a crappy fighter with a dagger. That's pretty much it. Or a staff, you know. Thieves, they have great pilfering abilities and spying abilities, but they suck. They really, really suck in combat unless they can get a good sneak attack. They can get one good shot, and then after that, it's, you know, whatever they can do. Clerics are good fighters, and they can heal, but they have some serious restrictions when it comes to robbing and plundering. I mean, they have alignment restrictions because you have to go by what your god says. Because you're a cleric, you're a priest, you know. But when you come right down to it, sometimes you just want a good hack and slash, thug type, kill it fighter, okay? And fighters are awesome. A lot of people back in the day, they thought that fighters were anybody who couldn't qualify for another class, make him a fighter. And there is some, I guess, some truth to that, but that's not what they were designed. It's not the way they were designed. There are many subclasses of fighters with distinctive abilities, but they also have some serious restrictions. If you want to hack and bash with no restrictions, your basic fighter is your choice. That's what it boils down to. When you're choosing a character class for the character you want to run, you want as many options as possible. And in my opinion, you don't get many more options than running a fighter. You don't have magic, but then again, you get to use a battle axe. You don't have healing abilities, but you get to use a spear, and you know, you get great savings throws. You don't get to use thieving abilities, but you can still rob people. It's called bash them in the head with a club and take their shit. Okay? There's no subtlety to a fighter. Excuse me. Sorry, I dropped my pen. There's no subtlety to a fighter. I mean, there are some variants of fighters that are subtle, but, you know. Basically, the advantages of... There's no downside to a fighter. There are a few upsides. Basically, when Dungeons and Dragons first came out, the AD&D books, all they had was a player's handbook. And basically, they gave it so that fighters with a high strength and constitution had ability modifiers unavailable to other classes. For example, if you had a strength of 18, you got to roll a percentage for exceptional strength. A wizard can have a strength of 18, but he doesn't get to do this. Okay, and the exceptional strength adjustments, 18 double ought's the highest, 1898, you know, like that, 18-01, that kind of thing. And it gives you more bonuses in combat. Allows you to carry more, which is important, especially when you're playing in a game where the primary currency is a gold coin. Gold weighs a lot. I did a video on encumbrance. Check that out. You want somebody who's strong on your team who can help carry shit. You know, everybody gets an equal share, but packing it out is the issue. You see. The other thing about that is Constitution. Anybody who's not a fighter, or not a fighter type, when they roll their Constitution, they can get an 18 Constitution, but they're limited to the +2 on their hit point adjustment. Okay. Fighters with an 17 or an 18 Constitution can get a +3 or a +4 on their hit points. So they're actually tougher, physically tougher. They're harder to kill, which is a good thing, especially in a role-playing game. Fighters basically deal a lot of damage, they can carry a lot of shit, and they're tough to kill. That's what it boils down to. A lot of people thought that like for example, a wizard can get a fireball at 5th level. It's a 3rd level spell, so you get it at 5th level. And a basic fireball does 5d6 damage. That's a lot of damage, right? So they kind of offset that against the fighter's ability to hit with a sword, and they're like, well, fighters really aren't that great, right? Then they came out with another book called the Unearthed Arcana. Unearthed Arcana. And this book is wonderful. It gives all kinds of new spells, but it also ups the abilities of fighter classes with what's called weapon specialization. They give a lot of new weapons that the fighter can use, but on top of that, they give what's called weapon specialization. Essentially, a fighter, rather than getting all these neat weapon proficiencies, they can take several of them and dump them into the same weapon and get bonuses. So a fighter, and you can double specialize. So a fighter, for example, who double specializes in a hammer, he gets a +3 to hit, a +3 to damage, and extra attacks with that weapon. And it works really good for bows too. My wife right now is running a character who's specialized in a bow, and normally if you're using a bow, you get 2 shots around. Well, if you have an arrow knocked, you get 3 shots. And if it's within a certain range, you do double damage. So bows aren't just a harassing distance weapon, you know. In reality, if you get shot with an arrow in a medieval setting without penicillin and without serious doctors, yeah, you're pretty well screwed. I don't care where they hit you. If an arrow goes into your torso, every time you move, that arrowhead is grinding shit up inside. If you get hit in the arm, it's bad, but it's not bad. It could be far worse. If you get hit in the torso, you're pretty well screwed. Okay, that's in reality. In game terms, an arrow does a d6 damage. That's it. Okay. Now, with this weapon specialization, with the fighters, with the bow, they do double damage. So, and plus you get to add your bonuses in. So I think it's a +2. So it's a d6 +2 times 2. That, you know, a d6 versus up to 16 points of damage. You see what I'm saying? It can get quite nice. I mean, they make bows more effective. Archers become very, very nice. So the next time you're considering a character class for a new campaign and you want something that just lets you go hog wild and do whatever, consider a fighter. Don't discount that basic fighter, because they have good hit points, great saving throws, they do great damage, and they can use pretty much any weapon. And there's no alignment restrictions for a fighter. You could be a good fighter, an evil fighter, a neutral fighter, you know, whatever. Your alignment restrictions are not there at all. They're very survivable, very effective, and I promise you, you could certainly do far, far worse. Hope this finds everybody well. Drink a coffee. You folks have a good day. God bless one and all.